All right. Hopefully this angle's good. I don't want to get my knees in the frame.
Oh, no knees.
Well, you could have your knees. I'm wearing shorts and I have large knees. They kind of make an impact when you see them for the first time. It's just like, oh shit, that guy's got some knees on him.
Do you think you could crush a watermelon with your thighs?
Like a small seedless or like a proper melon, like a Whopper that you'd find out in the fields.
Not one from the fields. It'd be warm. I'm talking about like from the store.
So it has to be a cold store-bought watermelon?
Like a room temperature store-bought watermelon. Do you think the size even matters? I don't.
Really?
Yeah.
I think if you gave me a watermelon that was about as big as you, I don't think I could like just physically get it between me like that.
You could, for sure.
I mean, I can get you between me just fine, but you're not shaped like a watermelon. Is the watermelon shaped like you?
The watermelon in this case isn't me size. It's whatever you view a standard watermelon as. Your standard watermelon. The watermelon that you would get from the store.
Okay, let me describe my perfect watermelon.
Okay.
My perfect watermelon, a little bit of yellow on the butt.
Okay.
A little bit of yellow. Got some scratches.
Really?
Oh yeah, you don't know how to pick a watermelon?
I slap them like.
Oh yeah.
Well, if it makes the right noise, I'm like, this is the one.
When they moan a little bit. With the watermelons, I've heard that they're good when they have scratches on them because it means that the animals smell the sweetness, and so they were trying to get at it. You obviously don't want them to have made progress getting into the melon. You just want to see the signs of them trying.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. With one of those, I think I could probably crush it, but it's also cheating because it feels like the scratches are doing integral, like structural damage.
Oh yeah.
So I think that might be disqualifying for me.
Okay.
I don't think I have the. I don't have the. Was it torque?
Yeah, we could use that word here. Yeah.
I don't know anything. I got a D in physics.
I got a C at like 52%. So it's funny.
But yeah, I imagine because I don't have a good grip on my thighs. It's one of my probably my biggest flaws physically. There's just not enough friction there, and so I wouldn't really be able to get a solid handle on it. I think because of the lack of basically. I'm calling it torque, but in the feeling, I'm just trying to get like momentum. I need like momentum in my hips and thighs.
Oh.
I need like a oomph in there.
Okay, so your technique is then to just place the watermelon down and then just like not to like bear trap it with your thighs, like instantaneously try to crush it. You wouldn't try to like boa constrictor it where you're just trying to like squeeze it.
Oh, like I intertwine my feet and kind of like
and you really like you're putting it in chokehold.
Yeah, that would worry me. I guess all of it would worry me because I got my own little watermelons around the same area. I'm really not trying to crush anything else. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
I could do some damage to a watermelon for sure.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Nice.
This is the Home Games podcast.
This is the Home Games podcast. Welcome back, everyone. It's been a bit. I feel like no.
It's been almost 3 months, or over 3 months, or almost 3 months.
Man.
Yeah, pretty weird. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. It is Saturday, October 14th, 2023. Life has been weird over the past few months for several reasons.
Yeah.
We've been off of home games.
Yeah.
We've been living our lives.
It's true.
I am now a father, which is crazy.
Woo, let's go.
Woo! Never mentioned that on the podcast because it was just like, I don't know. It was just like something like, I don't know. I just wanted it to be like, I'm taking a break and then I'm coming back in surprise,
Yeah.
I'm a dad now.
Yeah. I feel like also leading into baby, it was like stressful. You don't want to like put it on camera that you're nervous.
Yeah, that too. Well, also it's this really weird. See, I've been thinking a lot about this episode before. Whatever. I've been thinking a lot about this episode.
Okay.
And just thinking about like what it's gonna be, because last time we talked about home games, basically the state of things was we released a build that is playable and usable by kind of, I would say, the tech-savvy population, the people who are comfortable with, maybe watching this podcast or looking into some of our stuff and saying, I know a little bit about computers. I can mess around with this and get something going. So I've made progress getting things to a different, better place, I think. Excuse me, with home games since then. But in my head, a lot of this episode is going to be like a therapy session because it's just so much about how I don't know how I see things differently and how my brain is just I just don't think in the same way, in a very corny way, in a very like, oh, you wouldn't understand until you had kids kind of way. And it's silly being able to acknowledge, I guess, that I'm like corny when I say that, but it's also 100% true.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. Just trying to think of what this episode is going to be, and I think we should just let it out, Yazeed. How's it going, man?
It's good. That's good. I've been living my best life. No, I've been living a life. We'll say. Went on some vacation time. Took some vacation time. Climbed a mountain. Very, very exhausting mountain climb. For anyone interested, it was San Gorgonio in the San Gorgonio or San Bernardino National Park, maybe. San Gorgonio. Yeah, we did like the 22-mile dry lake ascent. This is like real. That's in the weeds. People who watch this podcast might not know, but it's a mountain in California. It was like I think it's 22-mile, 5,000-ish feet of elevation gain summit, and that's probably the coolest thing I've done in the last 3 months.
What was the worst part of it?
Probably the entire thing. No, I think like looking back, there was things I would do differently for sure. But we started at 4:30 a.m. and we wrapped up at 1:30 a.m. So we were basically in motion for like 21 hours that day. And I think that if we had planned a little bit better, we wouldn't have had to do that. So I think like the pre-planning of a monster hike like that, I'm going to say monster hike. People who are really into like mountaineering are like, pathetic. That's like a scale 0 or whatever the difficulty of mountaineering is. But yeah, I think that was like the hardest thing.
I imagine the same tech-savvy group that I mentioned before, I imagine they're also not expert mountain climbers or hikers.
I feel like there's actually like a weirdly heavy... Maybe it's just I'm in a weird circle, but I feel like rock climbers and software engineers have like very big overlap. I've met more software engineers who rock climb than any other profession that rock climbs.
All right, I'm going to go on a thing here. I've been watching, I mentioned before the podcast, I've been watching hundreds of hours of Kill Tony over the last few months. And a big thing on Kill Tony is there are a lot of rock climbers, a lot of people who go up and during the interview they find out that they are into rock climbing, kind of a weird amount. And one thing I've noticed, I don't know what they do for a living, but they all kind of follow the same personality like structure. It's basically all just dudes who are a little off and they're like alone a lot. And so,
oh no.
So I just wanted like that sounds like programmers a lot.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just you found the wider bubble of just like weird guys.
Maybe there's definitely some overlap between engineers, weird guys, and rock climbers for sure. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've never met a doctor who rock climbs. I'll say that much.
They're probably busy.
Yeah.
They have like a real job.
We have more free time compared to a doctor, I would say, for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, big chillin'.
Yeah.
I read a book on it's called 8 Bears. It's about like conservation efforts for all 8 species of bears around the world. It's really interesting.
Seems like a low number of species of bears. As someone who knows nothing about bears.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are surprised by that. There's not that many different species of bears. Bears are very versatile. So like brown bears live in both North America and Europe and Asia. Black bears live across like a huge band too. And then those like the big 2. And then there's like the specialized bears. They're like just like 6 bears that like don't live anywhere else.
The SEAL Team 6. This is the specialized bears.
It's more like they're the ones that are going extinct. It's more like it's more like the polar bear 6. Like they're not gonna make it probably. Is really like what that book came down. Except for pandas. Pandas are probably gonna make it.
Well, that's good news.
I mean, it's news. They're gonna make it not because of anything they're doing in particular or anything we're doing in particular. More like China is very much like pandas are a face of China. It's like a way of exerting soft power, so pandas will make it.
I mean, Panda's gonna make it. I'll keep getting my orange chicken. I'm happy, I don't really care about the bears.
The other bears are not in Asia or not in. Well, anyway, it was an interesting book. If anyone wants to read it, it's 8 Bears. I thought it was really interesting. That's the only thing I did.
I was trying to think of like some sort of a hard hitting punchline about how it was 8 bears, like someone ate bears, and it's like, well, that's how the population's declined. But I couldn't, so I'm just gonna give you the pieces.
People did eat bears.
Oh, sick.
In California, grizzly bear steaks were like quite common in mining towns.
Okay. How'd they cook them? Like a rare bear, a medium.
No,
rare bear?
I think it'd be like pork. We have to like cook it. To cook it's like well, but I don't know. I've never eaten bear, and I read it in a book once.
Well, I've never eaten bear.
I don't think you can anymore.
Well, fuck you, I can't.
I think it's illegal to hunt and eat most bears. Probably. I don't know. Well, at least grizzly bears, they're endangered.
I'd probably sous vide a bear. In case you're wondering, if I had to try out bear, throw it in the thing, 165, get a solid little gray going through the middle.
Gray puck comes out of it. Dude, that is, when you sous vide steak, it does come out gray.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And it is so weird because I've never had gray steak before.
Yeah.
The first time I did it, I was like, I messed this up.
You're supposed to sear it afterwards.
Yeah, I did. But
Yeah.
I didn't understand the why part until I was in the position of I have a gray lump of protein. And I didn't
It's like this steak tastes like water. Tastes wet.
it looks wet.
Yeah.
It looks like alien goo is what it looks like when you bring it out of the thing.
Yeah, it's true.
But with not the right texture.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I've tried sous vide a couple times. You got to get a good char on it afterward. You got to pat it down with a paper towel.
You do.
It's the whole thing. I'd rather just grill it. Fuck it.
You're more committed to it. I eat 1 pound of steak a week.
That's a lot of steak.
If I do it all in one sitting, so it's not that much.
What? It's less because I do it all at one time.
Yeah, it's not spread out over the course of a week. It's just one and done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a meal.
1 pound of steak.
1 pound. Yeah, and then you're basically staked out for the week. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No more steak. Oh
shit. Cool. Yeah, very cool. Sorry, everybody. GarageBand does this cool thing where every few minutes it'll ask me if I want to use a different mic than the one I'm recording with. No reason at all.
Yeah. Anyway, what's happening with you?
Well, I was gonna mention I was saving this drink for a while. It's a latte that I got from the store. It's called a Taika mocha latte. I thought I'd give it a shot here on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's got ashwagandha in it.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know either. It's supposed to like make you feel calm, but this also has caffeine in it. So it claims to give you a creative boost. Creative fuel is what it says.
Okay.
And it's got macadamia nuts in it. It's fine. We'll see how I feel over the course of the podcast. If this ashwagandha hits me.
Just a little sleep.
I tried it once. My mom got me these ashwagandha gummies because I have anger problems and stress issues. One of those is true. Yeah. But no, I don't. Whatever. But I remember I took the gummy the one morning, and the whole day I was on edge and like not tired at all, but just like really focused. How mad I was. It was the most off I felt in a really long time, and so maybe
so you were like, I gotta put this on the podcast.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I don't know. I bought 2 of them in case I don't know.
I love that your mom was trying to help and it just was worse.
Seriously, I hear about it all the time about, there's gummies, it's kind of popular. It's in a lot of different stuff as some sort of a mental health benefit. It did not help me.
Oh.
Yeah. It made the demon stronger.
Yeah. This is another tangent. I found out that I fall asleep in 6 minutes. And I know that because I put on a YouTube video and it was 3.5 minutes long. And then I watched it finished. And the next video that auto-queued was also 3.5 minutes. And I fell asleep before that one finished.
It's impressive. It's old man stuff.
It really is.
That's been my thing. That's been like, back to the therapy session. Like, feeling like an old person because I don't know. It's weird that it affects me this way, but yesterday Best Buy announced that they're no longer selling physical Blu-rays
I did see that,
and TV shows, like movies and TV shows on disc. And there's something that just like really bothers me about that, because it's kind of like one of my favorite things in the world, which is very American of me, but of like packaged consumer entertainment products, which I love. I love boxes and packaging, which is very opposite from you. But realizing that like music basically doesn't exist physically anymore. Most music doesn't come out physically at all. And movies, same kind of a thing. It's more of a niche to buy a 4K Blu-ray, and it's becoming more and more niche. And it's like it feels like literally watching the world move on from what you think is cool, and being like, oh shit, I don't want to go with the rest of you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that actually like vinyls have really changed my view on physical media.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something directly related to it's related to vinyls. You and I went to Best Buy once, and I bought a vinyl while we were there, and the person was like, I love buying vinyls because of the cover art.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is true. The cover art is so dope on all of these.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of true with like the Blu-rays. Like there is something about just looking at a Blu-ray and being like, this was the cover art for this movie, and it's like sick.
There's motion at my front door. One sec. We can keep the pod going. See if I get home invaded.
It'd be unhinged for somebody to invade your home while I'm here. I'd feel mixed feelings, probably.
You're gonna be the dumbest robber ever to see guest cars at someone's house and think now's the good time. No, it was just a delivery or something.
They're weak. They're weak in state right now.
Yeah.
At 3 p.m. on a Saturday.
Sorry, what were we saying before?
Physical media.
Yeah,
the Blu-rays. I think the Blu-ray cover art is kind of like the vinyl cover art. Like it's dope.
Yeah, I think just anything existing physically makes it cooler. Like, if I make, that poster, which you can't see if you're watching the podcast, but there's a poster on this wall made by Codone, a digital artist on Twitter. This would never existed physically. This is a print of digital art, right?
Oh.
But it's cool because it's right in front of me. I don't need Twitter or depend on Twitter to consume that thing that's in front of me.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, I depend on electricity and a DVD player and a bunch of other stuff to watch a physical disc. But, like, when in 10 years, when someone is arguing over who gets the rights to stream Seinfeld or whatever the fuck, 40 years after everybody who made that show, it's over. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Instead of having to be a victim of whatever transaction happens there and having to sign up for whatever new bullshit to just watch Seinfeld. You could have just bought Seinfeld on DVD for $60.
Yeah.
20 years before.
Yeah. We lost a lot of good content like that. Donkey Kong on the N64.
Yeah?
Yeah, because Rare made that game, and now Microsoft owns Rare, and that's why we won't get another like 3D platform Donkey Kong.
That's another game. Like, the original physical still exists.
No, but what I mean is like that, the the rights argument, like who owns the rights to this thing. Like, we already do suffer from that. So like, it's only gonna get worse when when Netflix starts to like take down its own like properties, because I imagine eventually they won't stream all of their stuff on there.
Yeah, or I don't know, whatever.
Like when Squid Game gets removed from Netflix in like 20 years.
Yeah, just because, like, for whatever reason, or say that the Kevin Spacey stuff actually mattered to anybody and they just pulled House of Cards or whatever. Like, even regardless of how you feel about the decision or whatever to do that, hypothetically, it's like, it sucks that they can just take away things that existed.
Yeah.
Like, content that was made. And a big thing was there's a movie on Disney Plus that I did not care at all about that had Kid Cudi in it called Crater. Big Kid Cudi fan. The only reason I know about it. Movie came out on Disney Plus, absolutely bombed, and I guess oh my god, GarageBand is some bad software. I was gonna say something else, not good. And So yeah, basically it was a movie that came out on Disney Plus, didn't do well, and for business reasons, tax reasons, I don't know enough about why, but Disney pulled the movie from Disney Plus. So a movie that existed purely digitally came out and was pulled back and is just gone. And I hate that so much. Like it's like the worst type of entertainment or whatever. And it's this like feeling of getting more cynical as I get older and trying to separate like how bad things are versus me thinking that they're worse than they are.
Yeah.
But I do think that's bad, and I want bad movies to be able to exist and be sold and like bomb and exist. I don't want.
You're coming over to my side, getting rid of intellectual property rights.
I'm not. I mean, I love selling stuff. The concept of selling stuff, but yeah,
copyright law. We can get rid of that. You can make whatever you want.
There's something really fucked because Seinfeld was great. The writers and the actors and all that, they made something really great. Because of the way that stuff is structured now, you don't need to make anything else. Just sell me Seinfeld again. The people that made great work 40 years ago, just profit off of their stuff. Like, which dude in a suit who's never done anything in his life is going to have control over this 40-year-old TV show to profit off of whatever in the year 2050? It's like, is that peak American entertainment culture? And like, is that good?
No.
Like, we should just make things.
Yeah.
Fucking make new things that are good.
That's what I mean. Yeah, let's go. You're with me on this one.
No.
I love it.
No.
I love it. We're becoming each other. I'm coming around to physical media. You're coming around to anti-capitalist positions.
Not at all. I just, it's like, you know, it's the thing that everybody with this mindset will tell you, but it's like, the system is great. It's the people who suck. And, you know, it's like you give people the means to be like greedy and lazy. They're just gonna. And being a victim of that and being like, okay, well, it feels like when I was a kid, things were still made.
Yeah.
And now everything comes out on a streaming service and it sucks and we all forget about it. And I somehow pay $400 a year for streaming services and I haven't turned on Netflix. It's like everything is a fucking bummer, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've just been buying Blu-rays from Best Buy and this weird thing of like, one day you'll all see, you know, like
we won't though. There won't be any more Blu-ray players.
Right.
Now you're gonna start stocking up on that. I feel bad for telling you that because then I'm gonna have to figure out where to put all these Blu-ray players you're about to buy.
I've got like 4 Blu-ray players in this room,
so
I don't think it's a problem. I mean, it is a problem, but not that kind of a problem. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I'm in this hoarder mentality and this feeling of like I'm stuck in this thing and I have a kid and being like, what's a good movie to show my kids?
Yeah.
And it's cooler to say, here's the movie instead of like, let me go into Disney Plus and I have to keep paying for this every month in order to show you these movies.
Yeah,
instead of like, check it out, it's up.
From like my nephew and cousin, they'll like almost gonna hit. Sorry, I don't know. Is that okay if I say your name?
No, it's not. Joseph Baby.
Joseph Baby. All right. I did say you probably want to cut that out then. That's or bleep it. Joseph Baby. I feel it's funnier when I say it like that.
We could. I don't know.
Baby. We'll just baby.
Yeah,
baby. Right.
Baby.
So baby. We'll go through like a period where they just like really latch on to like one movie and they'll watch it like 100 times.
Yeah.
And you will learn every nook and cranny of that movie over that 100 times.
Yeah, but it's cooler. There's something magical about having the physical thing.
Yeah.
You know, there was something magical about having the VHS cassette and like having to rewind it yourself and the process and the whatever and it's this thing of like inconvenience actually is awesome. Like like okay. Therapy. This might be like unhinged or whatever, but I've been doing a bunch of yard work over the past week. And before, I've just gotten landscapers. You know, it's easier to just pay a guy to come do my yard. let the yard go to shit, pay a guy again, repeat. And it's very convenient and very easy. But I'm so like detached. I'm so uninvolved with my own home as like a man. You know what I mean? It's lame. Like I this is my house. I don't know what the yard looks like.
Yeah.
I don't take care of my own yard.
Yeah.
So the inconvenience of doing my own yard makes me better, makes me more connected with my house, and it gives me this like feeling of accomplishment. And when my family's in the yard, it's like I did that. And in the same way, like I rewound this fucking movie and I'm gonna watch it again. I'm watching Bring It On for the 6th time today, Mom. That was my movie when I was a kid. My the cheerleader movie.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I was like 6 or 7 at that point, but yeah, I watched Bring It On over and over.
Okay.
Again.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to do that too. I think mine was Land Before Time.
Nice, good choice.
Yeah. I've been in dinosaurs like my whole life, so
Yeah.
I was a dinosaur boy.
I guess I'm just saying I have a hard time seeing like my kid or my children have equally cool memories when everything is just so instant, and so there's no like going to Blockbuster and picking a movie and being disappointed and seeing someone get the last copy. Like all that shit is just life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you to some extent. Not the inconvenience is good. I don't like being inconvenienced, but
No one likes it, but it is good.
But
Sometimes.
I think the part that I think is that even though this is like a huge step up for us convenience wise, in like 20 years it's going to be like an even more convenient way of doing it. And so like the idea of like streaming would be like, oh, I can't believe we used to stream. It was so inconvenient. And like whatever that new thing is, will be even more convenient.
But reducing the barriers just makes it all. It's just like nothing. There's just what is watching something. Like I just sit on my couch and I just mindlessly whatever, and then I'm just how could it be more convenient? And why would I want it to be more convenient? Like I don't need to get up. I don't need like
Idiocracy at your chair is also the toilet, and just
right.
does everything for you. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it's going to be more convenient, but that's kind of like the way it goes. Things just like become more convenient over time. Also, rewinding a VCR was not an easy process.
You hit the stop and you hit the rewind. It goes
and
faster.
then sometimes it doesn't work, and you gotta like it messed up the tape, and you gotta like take the thing and like put it all back together again.
It's not my fault. You had a broken VCR.
What is this, dude? What is this? Anyway, I don't know. I do think there is something about like the fifth. Okay, I have a question for you. In your head, do you imagine like a moment where baby brings you their favorite DVD and they're just like, put this on for me?
No, because here's the other thing is that I fully acknowledge that she doesn't care at all about any of the things that I've bought with her in mind in my closet. Like, I'm going to buy Rugrats on DVD because I love Rugrats. And then when I try to show her Rugrats, she's just like, I'm watching Bluey, dude. Like, fuck off.
Bluey is good.
Bluey knocks. Yeah, it's just that.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I don't know. It's like a wall. I got a sunspot on my cheek, dude. I don't know what the hell happened. I got old as fuck, like really fast.
Did you use sunblock?
No, I've never used sunblock in my life.
Brother, you're pale. You gotta use sunblock.
I learned that now. Doing outdoor markets for Zenobia's Bakery for a year, I think, is what did it. But yeah, that's fine.
Get you some sunblock, my boy.
I'm fine.
You'll end up with crazy tan lines like me.
I got that a little bit, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're whiter where you're tan than I am where I'm not tan.
Yeah. I don't know why I could have. I don't know why I bought this backlight. I could have just taken off my shirt.
No, you're not that pale, I don't think. But I don't know. I think it's. I think there's something about like trying to share the things you like, because it helps like build connection. There's something. Oh, man, I forget the exact like line about it, but the idea is like when you really like somebody, you try to tell them your stories. So like if you're bringing somebody new into the group and people like them, they'll like try to like tell them funny stories that everybody else experienced, that they were looped in on the experience. And when you don't like somebody, you're just kind of like, they don't need to know. And I think there's something about that. Like you like your child. You're like, let me loop you in on the things that I like.
Totally.
So I think that there's something to that of just like here's things that I enjoyed, and they probably won't enjoy it.
Yeah.
But Rugrats was good.
Totally. But the thing is, no one cares. Like, it doesn't matter to her. It's just a thing that I remember. And so I'm just like, oh my God, Rugrats is going away. They're taking our fucking Rugrats. And they have to go buy the DVD, you know? It doesn't make any sense. It's what I've been doing. And I just have this weird feeling that when Best Buy fully stops selling Blu-rays, I'm just going to go nuts. I'm just going to have like a full-on breakdown.
Just go to Barnes & Nobles with me.
Read books?
No, they sell Blu-rays there. And also vinyl.
Well, see, so there's
books.
There's a YouTuber I watch called Films at Home. He's really good. Basically, he just covers Blu-ray stuff like that, Blu-ray releases.
Mm-hmm.
And his response, because Target recently announced the same thing, they're not selling Blu-rays anymore. And his response is, yeah, that's fine, because it doesn't really matter. Normal people don't buy Blu-rays. They haven't bought Blu-rays in years. It's not profitable for them as a business. It's not worth the space on their floor. Totally right, whatever. But his whole thing is that there's more niche websites and collector's editions, and that's the whole thing. But I don't want a collector's edition. I just love movies. John Wick 4 came out. I love the movie. I don't want to have to pay for a service, whatever. I want to watch it on a nice high quality disc. $20, you own it. If it's a collector's edition, I don't want a fucking John Wick figurine and a Baba Yaga T-shirt. I don't need the shit. I just want the movie.
Yeah.
And so it becoming a niche thing makes it more of a, I guess it's harder to be into.
Yeah.
And I just want movies to be a normal thing. And the fact that it's going away, it's like, I don't want convenience. In this specific way.
Yeah.
I want to have to store my CDs and my movies and my games and be proud of the collection. And I just watched a YouTube video about a guy who owns 4,000 copies of Sneak King, the Burger King video game that was released way back when. You don't know?
I know. Why does he have 4,000 copies of the same game?
Well, he explains it, but basically it started as a joke, kind of like me and your brother with Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, where you basically buy a bunch of copies of this game that sucks, thinking that you're going to give it as a funny gift, and he ended up with a lot of them and just kind of started collecting them, and he ended up with a bunch of rare copies and like stuff like that. And his whole thing is just like, I think it's funny.
It is. That is funny.
It's hilarious. And it's a huge inconvenient waste of his time and money.
It's space.
Yeah, his like half of his room is fucking Sneak King.
That is unhinged, baby.
Yeah, but it's very human. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's very what I value most is I realize is that it's just real, like real people doing weird shit. I just love that so much.
Yeah.
I don't know. Disney Plus is the opposite.
Yeah.
Streaming services is like so.
Yeah, corporations are bad.
There we go.
People are good. Listen, we're gonna work it out during this. I'm gonna eventually get you on side, and then we'll form a union.
A home games union.
Home games union. It'll be actually home games is employee owned.
Because it doesn't exist. There's nothing
because
to own.
You are the only employee.
All right, the latte is done. I do not feel ashwagandha yet. But
Yeah, let me know if you get really mad.
I'll just swing on you, dude.
It'd be so funny if after all of these years, a random podcast when you hit me for the first time.
Yeah, right? It'll happen. That'll be our fake podcast drama.
That won't be fake if you hit me for the first time. I'd feel so bad. I might be dead. You hit hard. Everybody who's been hit by you is like, this man hits.
I haven't hit anybody in a long time, dude.
He's a hitter. He's a hitter.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's this thing of realizing that I value like awkwardness and real things.
No, I get it. Like, I like the difficulty of doing certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you, oh my God, I'm going to talk about a book and you're not going to have read it. And it's going to be like Yazeed just goes off on a tangent now. Old Man and the Sea is a very good book about this whole scenario.
Mm.
I'll give you, I know you're not going to read it. It's not that long of a book.
It's 100 books on my list. It'll be 101.
Yeah, it's really good. It's basically about this like old man and the sea. It's about this old man who lives in Cuba, and he's like kind of down on his luck. He's a fisherman, and like a young boy is like apprenticing under him, and the parents of the young boy tell him like, don't find a better captain to work under and like apprentice under, because like that old man's not catching anything. And basically people are like, yeah, like he hasn't caught anything in years. So he's like, well, I'm gonna prove him wrong. I'm gonna catch something. And he goes out to like a secret spot that only he really goes and fish at. Like it's hard to get to, and he catches like an enormous marlin, and a series of events happen. The marlin gets eaten by sharks on the way back, and he gets back to shore, and really all he has is like the head of the marlin, and which is like a swordfish. And then basically like all the fishermen are like, this guy, he has it. Like he still has it. Like he caught something that big with his hands. Like that's insane. He's so good at this thing still. But there's like these American tourists who are like, oh, what is that? And they're like, they say the Spanish word for it, or the Cuban word for it, which sounds like the word shark. And so they're like, oh, it was a shark. And it's like, oh, people who don't know these things, like they don't understand how difficult it was. It's like people who look at people collecting Blu-rays are like, ugh, whatever. But to have that many copies of Sneak King probably wasn't as easy as going to the Best Buy and buying their stock, because they probably didn't have 4,000 copies of Sneak King in stock.
Yeah, or no one is selling 4,000 at a time on eBay or whatever. So it's the same as anything else. It's just doing something. You just think it's dumb because whatever. It kind of is, but like,
yeah. You should read Old Man and the Sea. I think you'd really connect with the old man. Yeah. But also, the book's not very long and is emotionally very taxing. It's a very, very rough, like the end of it hits so incredibly hard. I breezed over a lot of it, but that scene where the American tourist like, oh, a shark, and this whole time like the guy had fought for like days against this marlin, and you were there for it the whole time. Yeah. And it's just like, so you're just like, stupid American. How could you think that? Yeah. But it makes sense. They're not fishermen. They don't speak Spanish. How would they understand what's going on?
I mean, yeah. And it applies like, pretty much everything. Like just becoming great or even kind of good at anything, and you realize just how complicated and cool that like anything works at all. Yeah. Like just think about cars for 5 minutes.
I try not
freak you out.
To. I don't like cars. I know my grandfather forcibly taught me how to learn to fix cars, so I learned a lot about how cars work, and I just don't like cars now.
But yeah, that's is it like an old book? I think I've heard that title before.
Old Man and the Sea is by Ernest Hemingway. It's old. Yeah. It's older. I think it's like 60. It was Cuba was. You could still go to Cuba as an American when it was written, I think.
Oh wow.
So, I don't know. Pre-Cuban Revolution. I don't know when that was. Post World War II.
60s, 50s.
Pre 1975. Post World War II. Pre-Cuban Missile Crisis. Somewhere in that range.
Okay. My knowledge of Cuba comes from Scarface, so not very good.
Oh, I don't have any. I don't. Fidel Castro. There you go. That's my knowledge.
Last time we talked, I was reading 1984. Speaking of books.
Yeah.
I've made progress on the book. Haven't finished it still because I haven't. Turns out when a baby will just kind of like scream every 45 minutes or so, it's kind of hard to get into a book. But anyway, I'm like 50 pages from the end. I think it kind of petered out for me because basically the book, and the reason I think that I've been thinking so much about this physical media stuff, it all kind of comes together. How familiar are you with 1984?
I've never read it. I'm not like super familiar with it.
Okay.
I think the meme.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, for me it was a similar thing. I knew like George Orwell's name. I know the meme, the literally 1984 meme, which, kind of got boiled down to the point where it was something like the government has control. 1984 would be like the punchline, right?
Yeah.
Or some sort of information or whatever. Very loose meme it became. And then I realized kind of how influential that stuff, like, the phrase "Big Brother is watching you" comes from that book. The TV show Big Brother, similar, like, that name. People will use the word memory hole a lot typically in like the 4chan crowd these days, but have you ever seen people use the word memory hole?
Not outside of the context of 1984.
Okay, well, memory hole so the book is basically it's the 50s, or it's 1984. We don't really like know.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is that no one really knows anything because there's this government that controls information. They control what people see, and they listen to what people say, and like surveillance state, kind of typical dystopian type of thing. And the main character, Winston, works for the party, which is the government, and he basically works in this department that's responsible for altering news. So physical newspapers are printed with information. The information needs to be corrected, aka we need to tell lies as the government. So, hey, we published that story about that war general who was so accomplished and whatever, and he saved us from whatever. Well, actually, we just assassinated that guy, so we have to remove all references to him ever existing. But we print newspapers, so we have a team of people that goes and gathers the old newspapers and then brings them to us, and we modify them, and it's this very elaborate system of controlling information. And it's very hard because of the physical presence of things, but they do ultimately control truth, and to the point where no one knows what year it is, right? That's the thing, because they have memory of the before time, but what are you counting the days from your last memory? You don't even know what year it is. You don't know what's going on. The main thing is that we're always at war. We're always we are this region, we're allied with B, and we're fighting C. Well, actually, now we're allied with C and we're fighting B, but this very foggy sense of we're always at war. It's always those whoever, whatever, but you're just controlled, right? It's an interesting idea. Obviously, people draw parallels to it a lot in modern world for different reasons. It's a fucking meme, whatever, right? Anyway, cool book, cool story. I love the world building. I think that idea and them describing the systems and how they control everything is super, super interesting. And the fact that the book was written in the 50s, I think, is just like really impressive that they had the foresight or whatever. But basically, I got to a point where he found spoilers for a 70-year-old book, but he found like the rebellion.
Oh, okay.
And there's this girl that he's involved with who's part of the rebellion. And it becomes this super lame like love story with her at some point. And maybe I'm missing something, and maybe she like represents freedom or some shit I'm just too dumb to get. But when I hit that part and he was just like going to meet up with her in this field and they were just boning and stuff, I do not care. You know what I mean? I want to see him correct the newspapers, and it got to this kind of corny chapter where he basically finds the handbook, and it's just they control this by doing this. We were actually never kind of an interesting thing about the war. So like this is the part that I put the book down at, but the thing is, they're always at war with somebody, and they're always allied with the other one. And the reasoning for this is because basically capitalism produces, and this is, capitalism produces excess. Like, it produces resources that we can use to improve. We can't let these people improve, because when the middle rises up, they eat the top. So it's this thing of like the top controls everybody, the bottom envies the middle, the middle wants to be the top. And that's the way it always is, always. So we, the people in charge, need to make sure that the middle never rises up. So essentially, using the system of capitalism, all of the wealth and all of the extra it generates, we put into war, because it's the only thing that can actually just destroy value. It's just whatever. And it's just basically a way to burn progress and to burn the ability for the middle to go up. And it's this very I'm loving it. It's fucking awesome. Like, I love this. I love the world. I love the problem. I love the whatever. It got to a part where it was just like too straightforward and like kind of lame. Yeah. But whatever. I'll finish it eventually. But yeah, it's this core thing of when Spotify is the only one that lets me access this album. Spotify controls the album. They can tell me what songs are on it. They can tell me what songs are not on it. There's a YG. I think I mentioned this before, but it really bothers me. There's a rapper named YG. He has a song called "Meet the Flockers," and it's about there's a line in it basically about specifically targeting Asian people for home invasions. Not
oh my god, okay.
Not endorsing the behavior. It's just it's music. You can't it's music, whatever. Because this line is in this song and it was around the time of some controversial something that happened in the news, basically Spotify removed that song from streaming services. And in that moment I was just like, "Oh my god, this is so fucked. I've lost this thing that I thought I was into, like collecting CDs and being into music and realizing like it's in the name of convenience. I've given up access. I've given up like some form of truth, and it seems so weird to be like, I'm fighting for this fucking rob Asian people song. But in theory, it's just it feels so wrong to not preserve that stuff.
Yeah.
And to make it accessible.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You know, this is why I was joking with the copyright law, because if copyright law wasn't a thing, you could make a copy of that song and have it legally, and no one could tell you otherwise. So it could be on YouTube and made into physical media, and it wouldn't be illegal to do that.
Yeah, but the world exists today, and you could do all that. It's just illegal, and who cares?
That's the copyright law, brother. We move one step away.
Well, I'm generally opposed to unenforceable laws, and I mean, if torrents and piracy are as popular as they are, like, what the fuck is the point of having the big FBI warning at the front of every movie? Who are you fooling?
Do they still have that?
I don't know. I torrent all my movies. I don't know. It's just been this like mess of thoughts, you know.
Yeah.
Just like I want to preserve the world. I think the world is lamer than it was, but I'm trying to balance it with that. Yeah, I don't know.
It kind of is. I feel like things have gotten worse when our youth.
Yeah, it'd be like, oh, man, you could tell it's a real shift because I canceled Xbox Live Gold.
Whoa.
I had that, so, and you know, they do the thing where I've been paying for Xbox Live Gold since 2007, or my mom has, but I started paying for it at some point, you know. But
2021.
Just recently. So, yeah, from 06 I had it, but every year I would re-up, eventually because of the pressure, because the badge on your profile has the number of consecutive years that you've been signed up. So me having the 15-year whatever just made me feel something, anything at all.
Oh no.
And then I realized like, oh, that's stupid, and I don't get the value out of Xbox Live anymore. And at some point, Xbox Live $60 a year became Game Pass Ultimate for $130 a year, and I had like, I don't want this shit. I don't. And anyway, I canceled all that stuff. Like, I don't sign up for PlayStation Plus, no Xbox, whatever stuff. And I tried playing Starfield, you know, hot new game. Spent 6 hours, and I was just like, you know what? I'm old. I don't want to play this. I don't want to play any game that is new. I want to set up my emulators. I want to pretend it's 2004. And I want to just play the stuff I like because I'm 100 years old now.
You are an old man.
It happened. It's so real.
That's funny. I've been holding off on Starfield.
Sucks, dude. Don't play it.
The funniest thing in the world is when people tell you like it gets good after 10 hours.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's like 5 days of me playing this game. So I have to play this game over the 5 days and think it's not very good to get to the interesting part. That's a pretty big ask when there's only 7 days in a week for me to play a video game.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, man, there have been some heaters on the new game side. Baldur's Gate 3 is so good. It took me 150 hours to beat it the first time, my first playthrough. And I loved every minute. Yeah, immediately after I was done with it, I was like, we run it back.
That's awesome, though. Like, you know, that's the other thing, being able to just commit to one game and spend 150 hours. And being able to say, like, I didn't play Starfield. Just being detached from new thing. That's what I'm, you know?
Yeah, I think where I'm at right now is new games when they first drop are so horrifically bad. Like, I played 3/4 of Cyberpunk on my first playthrough with no sound because their audio glitch wouldn't let me hear noise, so I had to keep subtitles on. Wow. So when I played it the second time and I had sound, and I did this like 6 months afterwards, I was like, wow, this game's so good. Like, there's sound in my game now. Which is like, all right, okay. But Baldur's Gate 3 was on early access for a really long time, and I did run into bugs and stuff, but it wasn't like there's no sound now. It was more like it takes me like 2 minutes for it to like load textures. And I'm like, oh, I can sit around for 2 minutes in a turn-based game waiting for textures to load, but I'm not going to play like 8 hours or 18 hours of Cyberpunk with no sound anymore. Like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting on Starfield to like work out its Bethesda bugs. And then I'll play it. I'll do that with the new Cyberpunk too. So I was asking if you played the DLC, because the DLC apparently everyone was like, "Oh, it's so good now."
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, I'll run another Baldur's Gate. It's 150 hours, it's like 6 months of labor, and then I'll play a next game." Also, City Skylines 2. I love a good city builder.
Yeah, it's coming out soon, right?
The 24th.
Oh wow, that is soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's too many games that are good. Like, I was playing Starfield, and it was just like, like, what am I doing? You know, like, you have like an existential crisis trying to enjoy something.
Yeah, I think that now I'm more easily frustrated when something gets good after like really long block of time. Like 10 hours of a video game. Some video games are only 10 hours.
Yeah.
So to ask me to play this video game where I could play a different video game and enjoy it for all the time, I have to like waste 10 hours then enjoy it. That's a pretty big ask. But I do tell people, like, one of my favorite TV shows, The Owl House, the first episode is doo-doo garbage, and every episode afterward is a heater. So I do the same thing. It's like you have to watch 20 minutes of an episode, and you won't probably enjoy it unless you're like a child and this is the first time you're seeing a show like this. And then afterwards you'll be like, this is a good show. I like it.
Yeah, or like me with Breaking Bad, you know, it's hard to tell somebody who you respect to watch 2 seasons that suck of a show before it gets interesting. It's like, oh, that's what people talk about in season 3. You know?
Well, the Tuco stuff happens in season 1.
Yeah, I guess. That show gets so much better than those first 2 seasons. But anyway, like, the it gets better after X amount of time. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. There's way too much shit.
There is. A lot of it is never, like, do you watch Video Game Donkey reviews on games?
Not recently, but yeah.
You did one on the new Assassin's Creed. That game looks bad. Like, just, like, that is a new game that I will never play.
Yeah. I saw reviews, not from him, but yeah, it's basically just like very vanilla, straightforward, standard, regular.
Or the Gollum game.
I heard that was legitimately bad.
I heard that one could not be saved. Like, actually, like, there's just, people play it because it's bad now. Like, it's that level of bad.
I considered buying it because it was on clearance for like $28. I was like, it'll go lower.
Yeah, it will. Dude, good games will go on sale for like $4 now.
Yeah.
From like 2 years ago. So.
Yeah.
It's got to be real low for me to want to play a doo-doo game for knowingly.
Yeah. It's funny because I would think back to when I was on Xbox Live as a kid, you know, playing Saints Row or Halo.
My Little Pony, Hannah
Montana the game. And I would be playing online, and, you know, I had like a crazy high gamer score. I would play those games constantly, and people would tell me, you know, get a life, fucking loser. And I was just like, I truly have no idea what you mean, because video games are my life. I go to school, and what I enjoy is playing Halo. So I play Halo for 6-7 hours a day. That was
so much.
That was my life. I was 13.
Yeah.
And now I'm so removed from that, and it's like a bummer just acknowledging it, because I don't know when that happened. It's better. I don't want to be that anymore.
Yeah.
But it's weird realizing that, like, I don't like anything anymore.
You like stuff still,
yeah.
But it has to be good. Like, I think when you're young, there's like a novelty factor. Like the first Halo you played, that was like groundbreaking.
Yeah.
But now there's like a million exact copies of Halo that get made every year. And it's like, what is the point of playing Halo over and over again, reskinned slightly? Like, I don't want to do that. I'd rather play a first-person shooter that has something unique to it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what I liked about Cyberpunk was, like, it is just at its core, like, a really bad shooter or a really horrific melee game.
Yeah.
But the characters and the story, really interesting. So, like, that's what hooked me. Is, like, if there's, like, some aspect that's, like, novel and interesting still, I'll be like, okay, that's fine. Like, Baldur's Gate's like that. Like, very interesting, very cool. At the end of the day, I am playing a turn-based game, and there's like actually like an infinite number of JRPGs that are just turn-based garbage that I could play if I like that. But it's like I don't. Like I just like the story.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that just like finding what you actually like about games. If you're interested in the story, then okay, play Cyberpunk on easy and just try to get through the story.
That's me. I don't play it on hard.
Yeah. Or I played a few games, which I have a little list I wrote because I actually played quite a few games, but I realized, and I'll talk about this when we get into home game stuff eventually, but I do not give a fuck about story in games.
That's true.
At all. I never have. I had this moment where I realized that like people I thought were like cool watched cutscenes in games and like soaked up the story, and I kind of admired people who would get really deep into lore and talk about what they think is, and I kind of forced myself for a few years to try to be into that stuff, and just don't care. I never have. I don't. Whatever. So just realizing, okay, if I were to make a game that I would put 100 hours into, there's not a single cutscene. There's probably no text, because I don't. That's not the kind of game I want.
Yeah.
I want Geometry Wars 2 until I die.
Yeah.
I want that to kill me. That's how I want to go.
All right.
Because it's my thing that I want from games or whatever. But
yeah, when
someone's like, "Oh man, this game's art style's crazy. You got to check it out." It's like, I don't care.
Yeah. I think that's true. I think when you get older, you start to realize like what you're really into. But when you're a kid, it's also novel.
Yeah.
That you're just like, whoa, they did this. That's so sick. Also, when we were younger, there was less stuff out, and so it actually was novel.
Yeah.
Like, the first Mass Effect was novel, but now there's like a billion of them, and I think that's not a novel concept anymore. The first Halo was novel. It changed the game of first-person shooters, but now every first-person shooter has like a similar, like, cadence to it. I do still like the story of Halo, for what it's worth. The old ones, 1 through Reach.
Yeah.
Or was it Reach then ODST, or ODST then Reach, whichever way that goes.
I don't remember the actual chronology, but I think Reach came out after.
I liked up to Reach.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was all the Bungie ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Games suck. I have speaking of video games, I have my list. So I just wanted to quickly go through everything I've been playing since I've been off for parental leave. You were just talking about Gollum.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention I finally watched, I think I told you, maybe I didn't.
No.
We finally watched Lord of the Rings. All of them.
Oh?
Because Synovia loves Lord of the Rings. We've been together for 12 years, and she finally forced me, actually last year, to watch the first one. And then we watched 2 and 3 a couple months back.
Oh?
And I respect that people enjoy those movies.
This is going to go one of two ways.
I admire the scale, the grand feeling of the movies, the care that went into the movie.
Yeah.
I was so fucking bored for 85% of those movies, and I could not believe, and the whole time I was thinking, I don't get this. Like,
that's devastating news. But
and
right.
Synovia told me after, the whole thing is the world building, and yeah, they're walking for 3 hours to the fight, but it's about the story on the way, the tale on the way. And I'm just wondering why they're going from the 2 little boys to the other 2 little boys to these tree guys, and why I'm watching any of it, and why any of it matters. and why the little fucking gremlin is mean sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was cool. I'm glad I watched them, but oh my god, I hated those movies.
Yeah, that's fair. If I was gonna like pick a movie for you that I think like I've watched that I like that you would also like, I would not pick Lord of the Rings. You don't even like fantasy really
At all. Yeah.
so. Genuinely, it is funny. We've been friends for so long, and we have like exact opposite tastes in so many things, but they're like very similar. Like we both like movies, we both like TV shows, we both like video games, we both like just like random stuff. But there's always like a strict divide on like what we like about it and like the style that we like.
Yeah. We like all the same stuff, but everything you like, I think, is terrible.
Yeah.
Rock climbing and Lord of the Rings. Sounds like it's like the worst Sunday ever.
Oh, I mean, I would not sit down and watch Lord of the Rings now.
At all?
Probably not. It's like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Do you know how much I could do in 3.5 hours?
That's what I'm saying, dude. I could sleep. I could.
Yeah, but they're meaningful to me. I do love those movies. If I had a child, I would be like, we're gonna sit down and watch Lord of the Rings.
Totally. And when the baby is old enough to want to watch those, we'll watch them with her, and that's cool. But
I'm gonna make sure that that's their movie that they want when they're 1 year old or whatever, and they just perma watch the same movie. It'll just be Lord of the Rings 1 over and over again.
God, that sounds like hell, dude.
I'd memorize that movie. That would be like the one thing I'd like have locked away, dialed in, really.
Yeah. I know that's. I was gonna say games, but I just had that on the list of
That's big news, though.
Yeah, been on my list forever. Glad I did it. Returnal. I don't know if you're familiar with Returnal. It's on Steam as well, but it's a PlayStation game. Came out 2 years ago. It's one of the games like single run roguelike or whatever.
Okay.
You die and the whole game, like the whole map resets.
Oh, okay.
Game is super hard. I don't know how people beat it at all. It took me 2 years to beat it. One of the hardest games I've ever played in my life. I don't get it. 32 hours to beat that game, and my brother-in-law beat it like the week it came out. I think I suck at games now. I don't know what happened. I already mentioned 1984, mentioned Starfield. There's a game on PlayStation that I downloaded. It was on sale for a few bucks called Slaycation Paradise. It's a top-down twin-stick shooter, my weakness.
Oh, that's your favorite, yeah.
Kind of bad, like cheap. Like you just feel bad playing it because it's like they didn't care that much. Anyway, it was a podcast game. I would just kind of have it on to pass time while I listen to stuff. Cool game, punishingly hard sometimes, really not balanced well. There's one enemy it throws in like halfway through the game that'll just one hit kill you for like no reason at all, and it's a bad game. I played it a lot, so that was that one. Beat it, by the way. Grid Legends, racing game. Did not like it. Played it for 10 minutes and put it down. Power washing simulator.
Oh, okay.
This one I was playing before the baby was born.
Yeah.
The night the baby was born, it was my distraction game.
Yeah.
Like oh my God, I'm about to have a kid.
Yeah.
And I need to distract myself. So I put like 120 hours over the course of a few weeks into Power washing simulator and beat it. So 100% cleaned everything. Subway stations, the park, Ferris wheels, ancient Egyptian pyramids, all that stuff I've cleaned.
That's amazing. Good job.
Thank you. Biggest waste of time ever, but I enjoyed it thoroughly. Dave the Diver.
I heard that game's good.
It's pretty good. Way too long.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Way too long. It's like they keep adding more and more games to it. It's like Dave the Diver. You're a guy, you go and you find the fish, and then you prepare the fish at the sushi place, and you run this little business, and you manage the money, and then, by the way, there's a farming game, and there's too much. They add like 9 mini games, and they all have resources like that are separate, that pool into something to give you something, and at the end of the day, it's too much, and it was stupid. Resident Evil 4, the remake, I beat that game. Very good. Best game ever. One of them.
That's your top dog?
Resident Evil 4, probably one of the top 5.
Okay.
It's like that game is magic. There's something about the just like the blue feeling, the like gray blue feeling of that village, and the
that is
music.
the village then. Okay.
Yeah,
And the weird guy.
Well, just the
big tall guy, Rasputin looking man.
Oh, the very first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy with like the trench coat, the bald guy. Yeah. There's just something like something that just hits about that game. Everything about the tone, the feeling, and it's like a perfect video game.
I think I watched a YouTube video about the Resident Evil series, and they were saying like they specifically made Resident Evil 4 different than the previous ones to hit like a different audience.
Make it actiony, yeah.
Yeah, and then they switched back at some point on one of the newer ones.
Yeah, I think with 7 they went back because basically 4 turned it into a like mainstream action game, and then 5 was basically straight up shooty boys in Africa.
I did like 5.
I love 5, but people didn't. People who were big fans of Resident Evil were like, "This is fucking Gears of War. This is not Resident Evil."
It was Gears of War.
That's why we liked it. So, yeah. And then RE6 I think was also actiony. I never played it. I heard it was way too long.
I heard it was not good.
Yeah, I heard it was bad. But then 7 I think went back. That one is called Resident Evil Village. I beat that one too.
That one's like spooky, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a house.
It's
like an old man.
Yeah, it starts out with like a family, bad dad guy.
Yeah.
And then it kind of goes from there. You know, you're not just in the house, but
oh, okay.
I think 8 is. I don't know. I don't know what's happening anymore. I used to know like release dates.
Yeah.
Like 50 Cent, Blood on the Sand came out February 29th, 2009.
It's insane that you know that, but all right.
I think I'm off by a week or something, but like I used to pride myself on just knowing that useless shit.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I think there's a new Resident Evil.
It's too many things.
My cousin said that one day I would get older and I would stop caring so much about video games, and I thought he was insane. And here we go. Yeah.
It's a slow slide.
Yeah.
Because you go from like 8 hours of video games a day to like 8 or 7.5 to 7.
Yeah.
It just like it drops. I'm at like 2 at the moment. Yeah. I have like 2 hours of video games. Sometimes I fall asleep on the couch to 2 YouTube videos. It's really one or the other at this point for me.
Yeah, I watch YouTube like 10 hours a day. It's probably the thing I do the most.
That's probably not for the best.
It's fine. I learned a lot, dude. I was just watching a documentary about the Sneak King guy. I'm getting a lot of valuable info here.
I watched a documentary on Resident Evil, the series. Haven't played since 5. Didn't play 1 through 3. Only played 4 and 5. I'm like, okay, I know it now.
Yeah.
This is a random tangent. On YouTube, there's this community of people who make analog horror movies, short films about Jurassic Park, and some of them are very good.
About Jurassic Park, like the set in Jurassic Park, or about the movie?
No, it's set in the world of Jurassic Park, and some of them are really good. Some of them are stupid, but some of them are very good.
What makes it good?
A good one's kind of scary.
What's scary about analog horror?
So like the one that I remember the most was it was like this the view, your point of view was an employee, so you're like an employee camera, and your job was you were a corporate spy and you were supposed to go in and get a sample of a dinosaur and you weren't told which one, and you show up in this like enclosure and you hear the dinosaur but you don't see it, and then they tell you like, we're gonna put the dinosaur to sleep so it'll be safe to go in there, and you go in there and where you heard the dinosaur you don't see anything, and you like explore the enclosure a little bit, and then your timer is like, you're out of time, you didn't find it, and as you're trying to like hustle back in, it gets you. And it's supposed to be a play on the Carnotaurus, which in the Jurassic Park book could camouflage. So that was spooky because like you're in it with the character and you like hear him breathing, and it's like really grainy footage.
It's like the immersion of it, feeling like you are them as opposed to watching them. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, a lot of them aren't very good though. I will say.
Yeah. There was that movie Skinamarink that was filmed in a very like unorthodox way. I think was inspired at least partially by the trend of like analog horror on YouTube short films. I think it actually originally was one, and they made it into a real movie.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I didn't know this community existed. I
Mhm.
recently just started watching more Jurassic Park stuff on YouTube, and I found this hole, and now I'm here.
Nice. You're getting weirdly deep into dinosaurs lately. It's like the exponential curve. You're like really going on the upswing here.
Yeah, I realize that more and more I'm almost like somewhere on the neurodivergent spectrum. Like I get too invested in like one particular thing to the exclusion of everything else. Like my YouTube algorithm for a while was just Jurassic Park clips.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, I've seen this one already. I've basically watched all of Jurassic Park through clips. Like not it chronologically.
That's Zoomer behavior to just watch a 30-year-old classic through fucking clips on YouTube.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite. If I was gonna like rate, that is like in the top 5 for sure. That's a hitter.
It's a good movie. I don't have that like love for it like people do.
Yeah.
I think because I watched it when I was older, and I don't think it looks that good anymore. Like I think if you watch some of the scenes where people say, you know, this really holds up and whatever, it kind of doesn't.
The CGI I don't think holds up, but the like animatronics I think does.
Mm.
Like the scene with the Triceratops I think holds up.
I don't remember. I don't remember what the dinosaur was, but we were watching it on TV the other day, and I was just like, oof, this does not look good.
There is a scene with a T-Rex, and people are like, the CGI is not that bad. And I'm like, you should watch it again. You should watch that, and then you should watch like a new Marvel movie, and then tell me the CGI is not very good.
Yeah.
Maybe not a new Marvel movie. I'll watch like Avengers Endgame, and then that one, because I don't know if it's held up, because I haven't watched a Marvel movie since Endgame.
Yeah, either. Okay.
Home games.
Yeah, home games.
Home games.
Home games time.
Home games time.
Okay. Yeah, home games. We had a build available, which we released. Didn't touch stuff for about a month, and then went back to it. Basically, the problem was and is, you know, making this. Okay, finding an audience and making it accessible to that audience. And like I said earlier, I'm a big fan of tech weirdos. I like to think I am one. But most people are not that. And most people are totally uninterested in downloading a command line script.
Yeah.
That you can run yourself. And basically once the terminal comes up, people think they're being hacked. Or they think they're being,
They're
whatever.
now a hacker.
Yeah, and I get it. Computers are scary, Like I don't know, I get it. So I was looking into ways to make that smoother. Are you familiar with Electron? Have you ever heard of Electron?
I've heard of Electron. I've never directly used it, but things that I've used use Electron.
Okay. So I was in a similar thing. I had heard of Electron. For people unfamiliar, it is the way I thought about it and the way I still think about it. It is a way to package up JavaScript applications as desktop apps. So like proper .exe file on Windows or .app on Mac or whatever, with the tray icon and all that running as an app, not just some shit you found online. And I had heard negative things for a long time about, its performance is really bad and like it's hard to manage state or whatever. I don't know. I just heard things in passing like you do. And because, you trust whoever because they sound smart. So it's like, whatever, Electron's bad is the thing I had in my head. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if this is still the case, but I'm pretty sure Slack is or was built with Electron. One of the most popular, widely used apps. Every job I've ever had uses Slack. Might be a pain in the ass to develop and whatever, but I mean it's pretty solid. I don't have a problem as a user of an Electron application. So anyway, I started looking into it as kind of like an experiment. And I mean, long story short, we have a desktop app. It totally works. It's fucking awesome. But I kind of just wanted to talk about the process of it a little bit. I'm still not really familiar with the ways that Electron apps are built and distributed. Like when I was looking stuff up, it was just there's Electron, the concept. There's this tool, I don't know, called Electron Forge, which is like a way to build and distribute them. Mm-hmm. But then there's Electron Builder, which is a new thing that is what I've been using to build my packages. I don't know. I don't know enough about Electron to be, to talk about it really. Except for the fact that I have a thing that builds home games as an Electron app.
Oh.
So, basically the big change is now when you run home games, like I said, there's an app. It's kind of more trustworthy from the start, and you get a user interface. Like when it starts up, it'll tell you, like, I'm trying to download a certificate. I'm trying to store that certificate locally and wait while the server's setting up. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Home game server is ready. Navigate to homegames.link on your thing. Like it tells you something, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And we have access to logs now. Basically, one of the big code changes I had to make was when you're running as a desktop app on these different operating systems, they kind of expect you to pull your data from a certain directory. Like in Windows, it's C users app data, whatever. On Mac, it's like library/application support, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And so I had to restructure all of our stuff instead of using like the current working directory or this value in your config or whatever from sources or whatever for data. It's just expecting it all to be in this main kind of app directory. And so, yeah, that benefit is that we have logs now. So if someone has some sort of an issue, I can say, go to this file on your computer and send me the output, as opposed to like, hey, can we screen share, or hey, can we, that's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
Even with one person, that's not sustainable. So, yeah, better overall experience. I can sign the apps and get them notarized through the Apple service. So,
whoa,
it like fully tested on a Mac that I don't have my account on at all, but basically I can share the DMG file from my development Mac to this test Mac, and it just says, this is an application downloaded from the internet. We scanned it for viruses and we couldn't find any. Like, fuck yes,
let's go.
And so I finally got that, and that's great. On Windows, it'll still tell you like, hey, this is an unverified whatever, but you get to still yes, you can hit yes without having to go into your system settings like Mac. And I looked into how I would do that. It's a very expensive certificate if I wanted to do it on Windows. It's like $400 a year or some shit just for me to be able to sign the software. On Apple, I have to pay every year for a developer thing, but it's like $100. So to me, that's worth it.
Yeah.
But to me, on Windows, if you get that little thing, whatever, hit yes. Like a lot of software does that. I think Handbrake or whatever, one of the most popular. You know what I mean? Like Windows is very normal.
So many give you the pop-up of this might not work.
Yeah. Yeah. So the build process is still pretty manual. I would like to have some sort of an automation pipeline, maybe in GitHub or whatever, but it's not really a priority. Yeah, we have Electron builds, and they're very cool.
So I have a couple questions. One, is the idea that Electron builds are going to replace the current builds, or would we run them in parallel?
Yeah, replacing them, because there's no use. That we were using a tool called PKG before to build up the binaries, which worked. It's just that it was literally taking our code and just basically running a big blob of it on a CLI on someone else's. It's not an app. It's bundling things and running it as a binary. It's which is fine. It's what I asked it to do. It's just it's not really what I needed. So yeah, we can just scrap all that.
I see. Okay. And then I guess my next question is like, does I know you said that you might not know this exactly right now, but is there performance concerns?
No. So I was testing. That's a good question. So no, I was testing at the start, just thinking, is this possible? Because our code does weird stuff. Like the app is the app with these games that it runs on separate processes, which already having a separate process. It's like, how does that work in Electron?
Yeah.
Accessing the file system, how does that work? Downloading games from S3, running them locally with your local node modules that I've bundled into this binary. Yeah. It's like, how the fuck does that work? Because when you run that other index.js for that person's game, it's looking for node modules in that directory. You're not anyway, technical shit, but like it was just how do I get past this? How is this possible? Found out it was. Everything was good. Started implementing and kind of just hammering out bugs. Why doesn't this run on this computer? Blah blah blah. Oh, I'm using the wrong data directory. That kind of stuff. And then finally, when it was all working, I went to test Vegas Trail, and it was running like 1 frame a second.
Ooh,
I was like, oh fuck! Like this is what they were talking about. Now I have to go and debug Electron, and fuck Electron. I was already on the train. I was like, about to write a tweet about it. But I did some digging from there, and basically it was really stupid. But previously, I had built a version of Squish, our library dependency. I was trying to work out a bug because I was pretty sure I had gotten to a point where game data was being sent to one player, and they shouldn't have been able to see that game data explicitly was belonging to another person. So I added a debug thing where in like n squared time it would go through every single frame it was pumping out, compare every single thing, and make sure that like, nope, this person does have access to the thing that they're looking at. Kind of an audit of all this stuff. But I never removed it once I verified that it was fine and I didn't have my bug. Yeah. So I just fucking published that version of Squish with this horrible operation that happens on every single update. And that version just so happened to be the one I was depending on in my version in Vegas trailer, was using that version of the thing. I just had to upgrade, and I removed that thing and published a new version, upgraded it. It was fine.
Nice.
It runs awesome.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I published those builds. I put them up on the website. You can go right now as I'm speaking. They are available on homegames.io. It's it's solid. It's just that the game download process, like downloading and playing published games, it works. It's just every time it does, I kind of feel like it's about to stop working. Or like the game loads, but I think I just broke something like on the computer. Like the system's fucked now. Like if I restarted this, it wouldn't, okay. So and it's not anything actually wrong. I just don't. The point is, I don't trust it. I don't trust the system.
Yeah.
So I would like to make that better, but overall, the app is like much more user friendly now, which is cool.
Nice. What like how hard was the transition to Electron? Like, was there anything in particular about the code base that had to change specifically for Electron? I mean, aside from like the bug fix.
Yeah, it was really just those two things, the app data, location stuff, because you really like when you're doing a desktop app. I'm talking mostly about Mac because I haven't tested so much on Windows, but there's like specifics about you're kind of running in like a sandbox. I only really have access in these directories here. I can read and write here. I don't have like when this app runs, I don't have access to the file system, which I do when I'm running, pretty much any other way. So that kind of arbitrary file system access I had to fix, which really wasn't that bad because I already kind of used constants to define file locations before. Yeah. So now it was just kind of like, updating those constants. And then the other one was, like I said, forking processes, because basically Electron has its own version of fork that it'll use instead of regular fork. It's boring. It's the same API, but in Electron. So instead of calling fork, you call electron.fork. It's it's the same. But besides that, it was pretty straightforward. Obviously, like, we're not doing complicated UI. I haven't done any advanced user interface except for, like I said, this one block that shows up asking you to go to homegames.link, because all the rendering and all the UI stuff is just done through the game system. It's not done through Electron. So it was pretty straightforward.
Nice. Does the changing of like where to get like the app data from hurt Home Dome at all?
Home Dome, no, because the app data and stuff is just when running as a desktop app.
Oh, okay.
Home Dome is still able to just take the code directly, run it directly, do its whole little thing, within a Docker container is where it runs the actual testing process. But yeah, that's all separate. The actual packaged distributable thing that we give is the only thing that's really affected.
Oh, okay. I think that makes sense. That sounds pretty sick, honestly. Like, it sounds like we got a lot of benefits from Electron with like no negative side effects.
Yeah, at least so far. Maybe at some point someone will run into something strange, but like I said, it's been pretty straightforward so far. I think I spent maybe a week getting it to a workable state, and then another week fixing everything. So maybe longer, maybe another week on that. But
you know, when I saw you drop the PR when I saw there was like an update for home games for Electron. I was like, huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's the cool thing about this being employee owned and being the only employee. Executive decision. We're doing Electron now.
Yeah, I do get to see it, which is helpful. I knew we were going to talk about Electron. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds pretty dope then. And I really do like that on Mac, at least, it doesn't give you the horrible pop-up of, like, this is going to rip your heart out if you run it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I mentioned before, but with anything like this, you have to build trust, and, you never fully gain trust. It's always a thing to, constantly build. And you could lose it at any moment.
Are these sayings?
You've never done corporate training at a
No.
big-ass company before, but yeah, anyway.
No, I've never done corporate training. I've never worked for... The biggest company I worked for in terms of people is probably In-N-Out.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was the pay window, and I wanted to die.
You were the pay window. They had to like put.
Yeah, they actually just like scooted my apron aside, and then they would just do it, and then put my apron back.
Legs,
yeah. Nice. Was there anything else on home games?
Yeah, just generally, kind of my view about stuff going forward. Obviously, I will continue to develop things, but it's kind of this very free form type of stuff. I have a game idea that I wanted to make. I'm going to do a video on that next week. My idea is basically just to one-shot it, record myself start to finish, start the game. I have the idea in mind. I'm not going to do that whole like brainstorming thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just pure execution. Like, this is my idea, talking through making it. I think that'd be fun. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And then just kind of thinking about in general, I want to use this like for my family. I want to have it running and be able to play games. And when people come over on Halloween or Christmas or whatever, be able to test it out and get feedback and build something that people actually enjoy playing, build a little community from there, with just people that we actually know. And kind of just go from there. But really just trying to take this thing and apply it to my life and try to solve the problem that I think home games is trying to solve, which is ultimately like being detached, being disconnected, from stuff. Yeah, that's the way I think about stuff going forward. We're gonna just do whatever we want with the podcast. And I mentioned earlier something about making like a game that I would put 100 hours into, and just thinking about what is that? What is a game I would actually want to put that time into? And going into what I like about games. And so basically I want to make that game. I want to make a game that I think is really fun.
Yeah.
As opposed to a game that I think is cool or interesting or could be fun in a social setting or I want to make a game that is fun. And in order to do that, I think I need to learn how to do 3D graphics, because to me, I need a little bit of like, I need something. Like, even Geometry Wars 2 is 3D rendered to, like, it's 3D renderings on a 2D plane. The things have depth and they are. It's just that they're flat. Shown to you flat.
Yeah.
Partially for like a personal challenge, but partially also because I think that the game in my head has to be 3D. Like, the game in my head I'm trying to think of that I love so much is called oh man, how am I blanking on the name now? Basically, it's a game. It's called like Toy Box or something. That's not what it's called. It's a tower defense game where you can control the towers. And so I put a machine gunner down to block the defenses. I can control the machine gunner, and like it's a third person shooter or whatever. So it's the strategy of a tower defense, a simple tower defense, but like engaging action, score attack, optimization kind of stuff. That's the kind of game I love. So wanting to do something like that. So basically I want to fuck around with 3D, see if I can ever build anything in 3D, like just a cube that I could do that with.
Yeah. Put
that into a home game and have my cube rotate like your cube. And if I can get that going, I'm the GOAT. But then if I could, going from there, then I can make the game I want to make and kind of just be whatever. But what I'm saying is, I'm just making shit. Like,
nice.
For the rest of my life, I'm just using this as like a thing to build more stuff on top of.
I mean, that's sick. Is that the game you're gonna one shot?
No.
Okay.
No, I'll tell you now because the thing won't come out till next week. Yeah, but it's just a simple social, like, It's just a simple social game. Multiplayer, you join, you all have a set amount of currency, points, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Going round by round, have the highest bid.
Oh.
And so, like, best 2 out of 3, best 4 out of 5, or 3 out of 5, like, who wins at the end, you know? But, like, the whole thing is, it's gambling, but if I have 1,000, we all have 1,000, I could bet 100. I'm just looking at you. I don't know if you're going to bet 2 or 3 or whatever, but it's risky because you're losing your potential for the next round to win or whatever.
What happens if everyone just bets 1,000?
I guess it's like a tie. I don't know.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, it's a very simple, just try to outbid people, but you don't know how much they're bidding.
I see.
It sounds lame as fuck, but it's like, I imagine there could be fun, and this is what I mean. Like, I imagine there could be fun with the right group, and so like I bet this much, and like Synovia mentioned, but with something like this, the key is the animation, the presentation, the way that it has to be like simple and kind of executed in a simple way. But I think it'd be cool.
Do you win the money if you win the bet?
Yeah, I will personally.
No, not the money, but like the in-game currency.
Well, I was just thinking it would be. See, my original thinking was you do this, and then whoever has the most at the end wins. But then I was like, well, what's the point of any individual round?
Yeah.
So it has to be like best, x over 2 plus 1 over x or whatever, or x. Yeah. The half of x plus 1, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 7. You know what I mean? The majority. You see what I'm saying? The math major.
I'm gonna hit you with something. It's the ceiling of x over 2.
That's too smart, guy. No, it is the ceiling. But what about in the case of like
x plus 2 over x, x over 2 plus x, x over 2, the ceiling of
see,
that
now you're
over
dumb.
X.
See, I made you dumb.
I'm just saying. I was never good at math.
Yeah. But yeah,
I
no,
only have a degree in it.
I just think doing that will make me better at things.
Yeah.
Like, being able to see, for example, if someone doesn't know how to do this, it's like, wow, this guy literally made this in 30 minutes. I could watch him front to back.
Yeah.
And I'll, speed up parts or whatever that are not interesting or whatever, but I made this in 40 minutes. Here's how I did it.
Yeah.
Full thought process. Like, you can go play this right now. And if I make it a consistent thing, just get better and see progress and that whole kind of thing. I don't know. Just fucking around. Just trying stuff.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I want to learn 3D graphics and finish 1984.
Good luck with the 3D graphics. Everything I read makes it sound very difficult to wrap my head around. But I also have I struggle to imagine shapes. So
I have a really hard time with math when I don't understand it. And that sounds dumb, but like, when we talked about it before, but when someone tells you what pi is, you're just like, what? But when someone shows you like the edge of a circle, straighten it out, it's 3. It's like, there's something magic about circles. It's like, okay, cool. Like,
it's something magic.
That's pi. Like, it's something magic about circles.
It is something magic about circles. It's true.
And so yeah. Anyway, 3D graphics are kind of like a daunting thing or whatever. But I have this book, and it's maybe deceptive because the book is this thick, not thick at all, but it's called A Computer or a Programmer's Introduction to 3D Graphics or Computer Graphics or something like that. And I'm pretty sure it has a like a guide. Like, reading the book, you build an app that has 3D graphics in it, like step by step, line by line, from someone who doesn't have a hardcore math background.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's... Yeah.
That might be a better way to look at it, because I was looking at the math, and I was like, I don't know this anymore. Maybe one time, like years ago, and I was in courses for this, but it's gone now.
Yeah. You've mentioned it before, but the math that we have in home games, like, for example, how to scale the game within the frame and all that kind of stuff, all that math, I don't know. I like reverse engineered that.
It does work. It did confuse me, and I think it required a rewrite at one point, but I'm glad that it works.
Yeah, but I have a process, is what I'm saying.
For audio listeners, I hit a J and then I started typing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let me think. I'm pretty sure that's it for home games. Electron stuff I didn't really change. I guess I fixed some bugs, but they're not really worth mentioning. Doing video stuff, making a game, 3D graphics, had a baby. Actually the biggest thing in my life ever, but I'm not really,
So far.
This is not the baby podcast.
It could be.
Could be. Oh, that's one thing. We recorded her. We recorded her with these microphones just to get her like baby sounds in super high resolution. Man,
that's cute. That'll be sick. I don't have that. There was no way to have that when I was a child. Be like, listen to yourself when you were a child. We dealt with this. Imagine if 13, they're throwing a tantrum and you're like, come here, and you sit them down and you just make them listen to themselves over the years, get to this point, and you're like, this is what I had to put up with for so long. Yeah. That's the ultimate you won.
Yeah. Or just play them back, them crying. Just be like, this is how you sound right now.
Whoa! I don't know about that one. That's strong.
That's the winner. I'm not gonna say who, but when I was crying as a kid, I had family who would just fake cry with me.
No.
And make me feel like shit for crying. It really worked, dude. Now I only cry in silence. I don't cry in front of men like some sort of bitch.
Oh no.
No, it's fine. But
no, it's fine. It's just bottle it all up.
Yeah, it's an ongoing problem. I was gonna say something, then I forgot it.
You know what? Maybe times are getting better.
That I'm not being made fun of for crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Okay. So this is totally separate from this thing, but the concept of a family podcast. I know it sounds lame as fuck, but think about how cool it would be if you had a video interview between your great grandparents. They were just talking to each other about what they were doing and maybe history. It's dark times in history, but there's also good times in history. And so just having historical record of stuff, doing interviews with old people in your family who've lived a lot of life and preserving that for your family. And I think doing interviews or casual conversations, but basically structured content by your family for your family, not to be publicly consumed, but just a family vault of digital content that you have made, your family has made, I think is so fucking cool. I don't really know where I would want to go with that, or what I would want to do, or how we would monetize it or make a business, but I just think it would be so cool to have a tool for me to just dump MP4s from my iPhone and family history.
Yeah. I would say that you might not need to monetize that, but I think it would be kind of sick to have that record and then just keep adding things to it, adding more and more people to it.
Well, yeah, that's what I was
if you interviewed Baby year 1, Goo Goo Gaga, year 2, I don't know if it's Goo Goo Gaga yet or not, but year 3, and then we get to they're 40, and you're I don't know, 7,000, I don't know, whatever that age difference
I'll
is.
Be 70.
Yeah, you're 70, fucking old guy. Yeah. You'd be like, come here, my little darling, I gotta record you on the whip, and they'll be like, well, I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway,
there's something cool to me about just I don't know, content for just you and your family. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I don't know anything about my great grandparents.
I don't know anything about my dad, dude. It's fucked.
Wouldn't it be same?
Yeah, right. It'd be really cool. The unfortunate thing of all these family photos or whatever that you have, and just how one person in the lineage can kind of just destroy it all. You can forget to tell a story, or you can forget to pass down a photo, or a photo will fade, or you'll lose it, or be destroyed, and over time you actually just have less and less information, even though you have like 1,000 photos of yourself on your phone, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you and I have similar thoughts, and then there's like a stark
Hard
divide.
pivot, yeah.
For me, it's less about like the fear of losing stuff, but opposed to like, I think it would be cool to just like have, like, if you had like 10 questions you asked everybody in your family, as far back as you could go, as wide as you could go, and then you keep adding to that, and you just like always maintain it, and then like if your kids maintain it, that's like a huge repository of information,
Just like historical stuff, but just like, I don't know, it's cocoa, to basically prevent anybody from ever dying in
they're getting
cocoa.
cocoed. Another random YouTube hole I found myself in. There's a lady on YouTube Shorts who does like historical fashion, and she'll be like, yeah, my grandma's wedding dress. And then so she'll like wear her grandma's wedding dress and like a more modern wedding dress, and she'll like check out these differences. Like, that's really cool to me. So I think it'd be kind of sick if it was like, you know, great grandchild is like, here's access to this repository of like everybody in our family. You can go listen to like the same question get asked like all these people, and then they go back and they listen to like yours, and you're just like, I don't like convenience, and I don't like convenience, and want to store Blu-rays, and they're like, what's a Blu-ray? And why doesn't he like convenience?
Well, I mean, like, this is, you know, we obviously put this out publicly, but my kids will be able to see this hopefully one day and be like, wow, that's what my dad was like when I was a literal baby. It's like,
why you were sleeping
you were
next
the
door,
crying.
baby.
Yeah.
We were yelling in here.
Yeah, man. Or just thinking about like how open you can be on a podcast, but you know, you might want to be a little bit more open, but then you realize it's public, so it's like, well, I won't talk about that. But actually talking about that, like, oh, my unknown family member used to make fun of me crying. It's like, well, that could be something. You could talk about that on a thing, and it's not for public consumption. It's for your family.
Yeah.
And then you guys could talk about that.
Yeah.
It's like your podcast beef is just beef now.
It's just family drama, which is always the craziest drama.
Yeah.
Of anything, family drama is the most insane.
You're the most invested into it. It's why it's so fun.
Whether you're invested or not, somebody is.
Yeah. All right. I have nothing else, I think, in terms of topics. Did you have anything you'd like to say?
Just thanks for listening, everybody. As always, our music was done by our friend Tynan, Nytan on Bandcamp. That's Nytan on Bandcamp. You can check us out on homegames.io or homegames, basically anywhere you want.
We're on x.com.
What is that?
Are you serious?
Oh,
Twitter, dude.
Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah. Sorry.
We're the oldest dudes with a tech podcast ever.
I don't use Twitter anymore. That one took me on. That took me out. Because you've been saying Twitter this whole time. You're like, I tweet something.
Yeah, it's Twitter.
I was back like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
When it was still Twitter.
But we are on Twitter at homegames.io. And thank you for listening. We will see you when we see you. We will be back.
Bye.
Bye.